Thank you for that. All right, page 36, top of the page. Gary Keller is sharing 4 passages that he wrote down or saved from reading Unlimited Power by Anthony Robbins. And this is going back to the early days of Keller Williams and creating this massive company that has turned out to be the largest real estate company the world has ever seen. Now, just get a picture of that in your mind. You're Gary Keller, it's 1983, and you're launching Keller Williams Realty, Market Center number 1 in Austin, Texas. By the way, Market Center number 1 is still there. If you're ever in Austin, Texas, go visit the Southwest Market Center. And imagine you're Gary Keller and you've got this vision of creating this company that would become Keller Williams Realty International, right? Now, these are the passages that he wrote down or highlighted. Success leaves clues. People who produce outstanding results do specific things to create those results. The question I'm asking myself, if I'm you, is what are they doing? What are the agents doing that are creating amazing results? What specifically? Can you tell I love that word? Specifically. That's one of the words that Monica likes to make fun of me with, because if I'm not careful, I'll say pacifically like the ocean, right? All right, specifically, what are they doing that is creating those results? Research. Find out what it is that they're doing and then model them. In my entire professional career post-teaching school, I was a school teacher a long, long time ago. My entire professional career, I have made every single business choice who I went into business with based on this one strategy, modeling. When I first got into the fundraising business in the early 90s, I chose a company that was crushing that business and that ecosystem. And I went to work with them with the idea, I'm going to learn everything they do, and then I'm going to go out and start my own company. And then in 2002, I got my real estate license and chose the Gary and Nikki team in Clearwater, Florida, to be a part of their team because they're their number 1 agents in that market. And I wanted to learn everything they were doing so that I could model what they did and build my own team. When I moved to Coral Springs in 2015, I chose this market center based on the fact that Alan Waxman was the OP, and in my opinion, the best team leader at the time in all of Keller Williams. And all I needed to do is learn what he did specifically, wow, I nailed it that time, in order to become a successful team leader in our ecosystem. And all I had to do was model him in order to become the best team leader in this company. So for whatever reason, I've always got this part right, modeling. Now, who are you modeling? What are you doing specifically that they did or are doing in order to be successful? Do you start with modeling or do you start with creativity? You know, it's interesting, the leadership team went on a field trip on Friday and we went to this escape room in Fort Lauderdale. Raise your hand if you've ever been to one of those escape rooms. Yeah, and if you haven't, guys, you got to go. And I want you to go as a team. And it's fun, but I want you to pay attention to the learning lessons. There's a group of us, let's say there's 6 or 7 of us, and we go into the Mayan ruins room. And you walk into a room that's kind of like a closet, and you have to start looking for clues. Mm-hmm. And the goal is to get out of the room. And as you're looking for these clues, it leads to another room, which leads to another room, which leads to another room. And what do you think we did? Do you think we went in and listened to the instructor who said, this is what you're going to do? Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. Do you think we did that? Or do you think we just went in there and started looking for clues and started pushing on walls? If you answered the second B, if you answered B, you would be right. We immediately went to creativity.
It's true.
We immediately went to creativity, and here's what we found. Oh my God, it's so cool. Here's what we found. We accidentally found, pay attention, we accidentally found a couple clues. Creativity was working. Creativity was working. You got this? I can erase it now. Creativity was working until it wasn't. And we hit that ceiling.
Yeah.
And then we came back together in the middle of the room and we said, okay, where's the instructions?
That would be me.
Can somebody read what we're supposed to do here?
Bring Clarissa next time.
And then the group came together and they read the instructions and we're like, that makes sense. Now we went back out and we started pushing on walls, looking for clues. We went back to creativity. And then we came back together and like, okay, maybe we need to read a little bit more. What are we missing here? Now, the goal was to get out of the room in an hour. You guys hearing me?
Sure.
And I'm thinking we'll get out in 20 minutes. I'm super competitive, the high D in me, the other teams, they're in other rooms. It's going to take them an hour to get out, but we're going to get out in 20 minutes. Now, as we're sitting there in the room, bouncing from creativity to models, we hear the other two groups get out of their room and they're in the hallway celebrating. And I'm thinking, that's not good. And we're hitting that ceiling, we're hitting that ceiling, we're hitting that ceiling, we're hitting that ceiling, which leads to frustration and resignation. In other words, at one point, Michael Trelongo is in the room with us and he sits down. Let me know when the door is open.
So, Michael.
Perfect. That was a plan.
You guys, you connecting the dots?
Yeah.
And the lady, here's the other thing, guys. Oh my gosh, pay attention. You could push this red button on the wall and they give you clues. Do you think we push the button on the wall? No, because we know what we're doing. Why would you pull over and ask for directions? That's easy. I know what I'm doing.
God
Robin
forbid.
Taylor and I are in a group together, and Robin Taylor and I are looking at one another and we're like, why aren't we pushing the button? Let's push the button. I mean, if it were up to me, I'd be pushing that button nonstop. Give me another clue. Give me another clue. Give me another clue. Give me another clue. That's called coaching. And real estate agents do this all of the time. I don't need coach. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to do this on my own. Why would you when all you have to do is push the button and ask for help? So finally, with about 5 minutes to go before they come in and say, okay, you guys are a complete failure, but here's the door, you can leave. She comes over the intercom and she goes, okay, look at this, look at this, look at this. We got a coach. We got to be purposeful. And all of a sudden we broke through the wall and we're in the hallway. 59 minutes with a minute to spare.
With a minute to spare?
With a minute to spare.
You guys are awesome.
That's called sucking.
Wait, what place did you come?
Give anything to be there.
Victoria, it was hilarious.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Absolutely hilarious. And then, at the end, I asked everybody, I said, the instructions, when you guys were kids and you were building models, remember they came with instructions where if you're anything like me, you never looked at the instructions. You're just like, just start building the damn thing.
No, that's not me.
And
Not me.
I asked, did we actually find anything because of the instructions they gave us? Everybody looked at one another. Thought, no, we didn't. What if we would have? What if we would have picked up this book and read it and followed the model that's in the book rather than winging it? Would we get to $1 million faster?
Yeah.
Would we get to $1 million, period? Why aren't we doing that? Because we are wired to get to creativity first. I'm going to do it my way. All right, passage number 2. Actions are the source of all results. This process of discovering exactly and specifically what people do to produce a specific, boy, I wish he'd come up with a new word, a specific result is called modeling. Passage number 3, modeling is a pathway to excellence. People who have mastered the art of learning everything they can by following other people's experience rather than their own. Here's an idea. What if we went into that room and we asked, what have other people done before us in order to get out of the room faster? What if we asked that question? Well, we could have. That's called the red button. Because the lady on the other end who's talking to us, who's watching us through the cameras, who's just like shaking her head going,
Probably.
she knows the answers. All we had to do was ask. What specifically do we, I know that time. What specifically do we need to do in order to get out of this freaking room? Well, you need to do this. Okay, let's go do that and then come back and push the red button again. Okay, now what do we need to do? Well, go do this. Okay, we'll go do that and then come back and push the red button. Now what do we need to do? But we don't do that. Why not? Passage number 4. You should be a detective. Ha! What do detectives do? Ask questions.
Lots of.
Ask questions. Lots of questions. Be an investigator, someone who asks lots of questions and tracks down all the clues to what produces excellence. You could either find somebody who's done this and follow the model and get amazing results, or you could do this on your own. All right, what'd you hear? Talk to me. Larissa.
So, it just reminds me, my mother's name is Roberta, so I always say that it's a Roberta when I describe things. So